Good afternoon to our friends in the Philippines and Australia. Good morning to our buddies in Saudi Arabia. My name is Philip. With me are my amigos Sam and Asher, as well as my brother Perrin. We will be your hosts for today. Now I bet you're wondering, what is Workshops for Peace? Well, Workshops for Peace is an overseas Filipino homeschoolers fundraising initiative that aims to educate, empower, and engage students while at the same time fostering creativity, compassion, and collaboration. We have been blessed to bring on board amazing people who want to help this cause. Our workshop today, Kids Inventing for Peace, is a workshop that will teach kids how they can tap into their creativity and start inventing. Our next session will be with teacher Kristen. It will be a cultural exchange meeting with the students in Ukraine. Urban Farming for Kids will be a learning session about urban container gardening. Content Creation for Teens is a workshop that will enable us to harness the power of social media to our advantage. Last but not least is how to start a nonprofit. Will be a workshop on how to start and grow a successful nonprofit so you can start collaborating and make a difference in your community.
Our beneficiaries include Ukraine refugees and frontliners through a Filipino teacher currently residing in Kiev, Ukraine, Kristen Boad of Kaizen Alternative Learning, as well as the Initiative for Helping Somalia led by Taylor Quinn, who works at the UN World Food Program, and the Shelter Building Initiative for the Typhoon Odette victims in Dinagat Island through Jordan Sebastian of Courageous Compassion. This event will not be possible without the help of our speakers as well as our friends from Kids Who Farm, Tailored Food, Kaizen Alternative Learning, and Prince of Peace Integrated School, and Penyal Integrated Christian Academy of Rizal.
I would like to welcome our workshop speaker, Warren Wilson. He's the man, the betterer of the blocks, the inventor connoisseur. Give it up, everyone, for Warren Wilson, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm very honoured to be here, and thanks for such a wonderful introduction, Perrin. And what a fantastic game! I've never played that game before, and I love it. So thank you for letting me be part
I
of that
would.
game as
I'd
well.
also like to turn the. I'd also like to turn the floor to Asher because he also has some details that he'd want to share about our wonderful workshop speaker Warren Wilson. Isn't that right, Asher?
Yeah, yeah. Warren Wilson is an inventor whose mission is to help kids make their dreams come true. His most successful invention was the Better Blocks. They're like Legos, but better. He has moved on a global consulting, but his heart for helping bring out the best in kids remains. He has held kids entrepreneurship programs and even wrote a book titled How to Think Like an Inventor. He's here with us today to share his inventing story and guide us on how to be an inventor ourselves.
Our ears are peeled and right awaiting your amazing workshop.
Okay, thanks, Perrin. Thanks, Asher, for such a great introduction. Well, all you kids, do you have dreams of things that you'd like to do with life? Do you have games you'd like to play or places you'd like to go? Think of some of those places, or think of some of the things that you would love to do. And if you follow your dream, it will take you on the ride of your life. And I know me, I'm a little bit older than a lot of you kids. And I've traveled the world, met some amazing people and done some amazing things just because I followed my dreams. So to get you a little started in thinking differently, if you've got a piece of paper, for this exercise you need a piece of paper and some pens. Can be coloured pencils, can be normal pencils, can be pens, can be anything that you can draw with. And what I'd like you to do is put your hand that you normally write with, put that on the paper and spread your fingers apart. And now trace around the outside of your hand with your hand that you don't normally write with. Grab the pen or the pencil in the hand you don't normally write with and trace around the outside of your hand. And then take your hand. When you've done that, you take your hand off the paper and you can draw in your fingernails and you can colour in your fingernails, anything that you like, any colour that you like, do whatever you like. And have a look back at the screen, have a look at the screen and let us know when you're finished.
You know, even when I trace my left hand with my right hand, and then I lift up my hand, I'm like, wait a minute, why does it have 6 fingers? Sometimes I get confused. There's suddenly a 6th finger that I never drew, and then like, wait, what?
You can see. You can actually. That's a good idea. Thanks, Perrin. You can add a couple of extra fingers if you want. There's no problem with that.
I suppose that might happen if you wiggle a bit too much.
Could be. It could be. Because what it is, see, inventing's all about having fun, and it's really about doing something different. And that's exactly what you just did. Most people don't normally, or most kids don't normally use their other hand. So what did it feel like to do something different that you don't normally do? What did it feel like to draw and to colour in using a hand that you don't normally do? What did that feel like? And that's what inventors do. Inventors, that's all they do. We just do something different. And it's exactly like using your different hand. We just do something different. That's really what inventing is. And I'm sure you kids have all thought of different things or doing something different at times. So maybe you want to write in the chat just to let me know some of the things that you would like to do, that you do or you see that you would think would like to be done different. And yes, you can colour. I can see there's a from Alex. Yes, you can colour in. You can do all different colours if you want to. So who has some things that they'd like to do differently in their life? Think, wow, wouldn't it be good if, because I do. I have some things I like. One thing I'd like to do different is to be able to grow more hair, but I can't do that at the moment. So it's the best I can do. Okay, so we've all done something, thought of something different. We've all done something different, but also inventing. To be successful as an inventor, there's a thing called persistence and resilience. And what it is that I find being an inventor like I am, it's pretty good. Wow, Lopez, you're very fast. I find that being an inventor is one thing, to have an idea, but to make the idea happen as a whole, as a little bit of an effort at times. So it takes persistence and it takes what we call resilience to be an inventor. And persistence is really sometimes doing something new, like writing with your other hand, is a little bit difficult. And persistence means that it may be difficult, but you keep on going. And resilience is also, maybe you make mistakes and things don't work out as you planned. And I've had a lot of ideas that don't work out. But you still keep on going. You recover and keep on going. So inventing is really about, you come across challenges and what can we do to solve them? How can we solve them? Just like maybe writing with your hand that you don't normally use. You may not be able to write or draw as good as you think you can, but I'm sure with practice you probably could. So remember a time, or you may even want to write it in the chat, or Perrin, if you want, kids. Some of the kids could tell us some of their experiences when they had a great idea and they were trying to do something, and there were challenges, or it didn't work out how they thought, but they kept on going anyway. And what did they do? How do they solve their problems? What do they do to keep on going? So if there's any times in your life, any of you people in this workshop, think of a time when things didn't quite go as you wanted. It was a bit hard, but you kept on going. And if you want to share some of those experiences, please do.
Do you have any experiences where you had to be resilient or persistent?
Actually, one time when we were at vacation in Iloilo, also known as the heart of the Philippines, as some tourists say. I actually I actually was like some type of like persistent and resilient. I was also like when I was in Iloilo, I was making like sculptures and drawings, but it was good. But sometimes there were mistakes, sometimes there were good, sometimes there were bad. But overall, it was fun being in Iloilo.
That was an amazing story. When you mentioned the heart of the Philippines, I thought, this guy, he'd make an amazing historian. I can just see him now.
Yeah.
What about thank you, guy Rebecca and Lopez, for raising your hand. So what about you, Rebecca? Let's start with you.
My hand, both of my hands. One side has my right hand. This is the hand that I used to write with, and it looks very wiggly, but definitely no sixth hand. I don't know what you're saying about the sixth finger, because I didn't wiggle too much. It's because of my hand, and I also drew this hand at the back of the paper to compare them. And then I think that this one was the more wiggly, where I had to do like this with my right hand.
Oh,
But I
thank you.
also do like to do art. And even though I have mistakes in my art, I can still fix them. But one time my art got ruined yesterday because we were cleaning and we had to clean the lobby here. And we had to use waters, and I had to sweep all them up and then throw them the water and then let it dry. But then my artworks actually got wet, but that was okay because that was just my 30-minute artwork.
Thank you so much for sharing that story, Rebecca. You are very, very persevering, and I can see that. Even if the hand was a bit wiggly, you persevered. So, Lopez, you're raising your hand. So, what do you want to share?
I like painting. You're, I'm also ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous.
And I also do experiments.
Right. For force.
Some of the parts just and I want to be a robot car builder when I grow. That's why I like inventing.
I can see that kind of future super clear. That you're already so persistent, resilient, persevering, and you want to be a robot, car build. You want to build robots. Am I correct?
Builder. A robot car builder.
A robot car builder. I could see you making. I can see you one day. I'm gonna go to the car dealership and I'm gonna see you working on a car. And I'm gonna be like, "Hey, what's this car?" And you say, "This is the newest robot car, and it can fly." I can see you inventing the first flying car.
Shuffle bug, shuffle bug.
Do the crane, get the wheel!
Shuffle bug,
What makes it move? It's so unreal!
shuffle bug.
It's not a ball, it's not a cut, just a twist will make it stop!
Shuffle bug.
Do the crane, get the wheel!
Shuffle bug, shuffle bug.
What makes it move? It's so unreal!
Shuffle bug, shuffle bug.
First of all, do you like that toy? Do you think kids would love that toy? And that was a toy that I made. And do you think I was successful at it? You can put your
Teacher,
answer in your chat.
I actually have one of those in our garage. It belonged to our older brother. Our little brother still uses it now. Our brother actually had one of those. It was his favorite toy.
Cool. That's very cool. Well, it was a toy that children loved. Most children loved it, and thank you for sharing the story. I haven't met many people who actually own one, but what we did sell a few, but in actual fact, for me, it cost me a lot of money, and I actually I lost $100,000 on that toy because although it was a great toy, that I made a lot of mistakes trying to sell it. But I still loved inventing. So for me, I was still persistent. And what I did is, even though that product didn't work, I still kept on inventing because I was really resilient, and I love inventing. And I think it's pretty important to do things that you love doing, because if you do things you love doing, you just kind of tend to be a little bit more keep on going through the problems. But what are some of the things that all you love doing? Let us know.
Personally, my favorite hobbies are rollerblading and playing badminton. But most of all, I really love collaborating with people for the greater good, doing these kinds of workshops, meeting people like Warren Wilson, better of blocks. Yes, Philip. What would you like to say?
I actually like playing instruments like the recorder.
Okay, I can see that Lopez raised her hand. Yes, the floor is yours.
I like doing cooking with my mommy sometimes and building pancakes.
Okay, what about you, the Lopena brothers?
All of us like drawing, and for me, I like making comics and stories.
Comics and stories. I can't wait to see some of those. Maybe in the future you'll be the new Marvel.
That's not what he meant. More like comedic ones, not action ones.
Who said that maybe the new Marvel will be a funny Marvel? You never know. What about you, Alex?
I love reading, and I also love arts and crafts, and sometimes I do basketball, badminton, and volleyball.
I love playing basketball. I love to draw. And I love to also play football and read books. I also love making stories. And I like to share God's word through my drawing.
So what I loved doing was making kids' toys. That's what I love doing. So I like making kids' toys, but how did I invent Better Blocks, which was a kid's toy? And what I found here's how I invented Better Blocks, is that what I did was, some people just have great ideas just to invent something, but other people hear about problems that people are having and they'll go, wow, I reckon I can solve that problem. So have you ever had any problems have you ever heard people or other friends talk about problems and you've come up with solutions to those problems? Maybe you might want to type that into the chat. Think of some of the problems that you've heard about and you've come up with solutions to the problem, because this is the key to how I invented Better Blocks. But I'll just let you do. I'll ask you first. What problems have you heard about and what solutions have you come up with?
I have an idea. It's like maybe it could be fluffy like a stuffed toy,
Yep.
but different from a stuffed toy.
Nat,
Yeah.
let me ask you the next question. Have you ever come up with ideas that would solve other people's problems?
Yes, actually, there can be. I actually have idea of people that are in wheelchairs, and if they drop something, this item can help them pick it up. It's like it's like when I'm in a wheelchair and I drop something, I can't reach it with my normal hand. So I use the thing that I use to grab the item and pull it back up.
Okay.
Just like the Spidey web shooter, but Instead, it's like a long mechanical arm that it can be like attached to your arm, but not surgically, just like using like a cover. It can be removed and attached again, and then your fingers can control the movement. So you can use your fingers and actually use it and make like a more extended arm to grab things that people can't reach, to help people.
Okay, thank you so much, Nat. For those of you also raising your hand, you can type your things in the chat. Now, I believe that Tita Ali, she wants to share something with you guys.
Hello. I just noticed that some of you mentioned that you like to bake, and that's something that is your favorite thing to do. And I just wanted to share regarding why we're doing workshops for peace. So one of the things that teacher Ten on Ukraine shared with us is how difficult it was to get ingredients now because of the war in Ukraine, because a lot of the stores are closed and shipping of ingredients has been halted because of the soldiers and the tanks and all that. So even things, simple things that we enjoy, like baking and cooking, they have to improvise. So they have to be creative and innovative in how they could figure out to cook the food that they would normally be able to just buy the ingredients from the grocery. So even in times of trouble, um, difficulty, that is also an opportunity for us to think creatively and to be inventive and innovative.
Okay, so
Okay.
Warren, we can't wait to hear
Shall we
more
go
about
on?
how you invent.
So, should we go on to the next slide? Let's go to the next slide.
As an inventor, I'm always curious and I love challenges.
So that's it. I love challenges. So here's how the idea for Better Blocks was born. You want to slip into the next slide? I was at a toy fair in Germany. I don't know if you all know where Germany is, but it's a long way away from Australia. And I remember it was snowing. There was about this much snow on the streets outside. And I was kind of walking along with a couple of my friends, and I overheard my two friends talking, and they were talking about Lego. And do you want to move on to the next slide?
The toy store had shelves and shelves of Lego, and more Lego. My friend told me, "Hey, Warren, why not make a block like Lego? That's not Lego."
And that's right. Why not make a block like Lego that's not Lego? Because what my friends were saying, they said that at the time you walked into a store and all you could buy was Lego. You couldn't buy any other blocks. All you could buy was Lego. And they said, "Warren, you're an inventor. Why don't you invent another block, a different type of block that we could sell and compete with Lego?" And that was what started my brain thinking. I was thinking, how could I do that? So what I did was, as I really had no idea how I was going to do it. So what I did was that I gathered all the information that I could. I was kind of thinking in my brain, all the information I could about Lego blocks, about the Lego company, any information that I could find about Lego. So if you want to move on to the next slide, and maybe you can tell me, because I reckon most of you have probably got Lego or played with Lego, what do you know about Lego? If you want to go to the next slide, I'll show you all the things that I knew about Lego. See, that was my list, right? But there was one thing that I really noticed on my list, and with the Lego blocks, I noticed that and I've got some bigger Lego blocks here, was that when you join them to sorry, my green screen's not working properly. Is that when you join them together, they mainly form straight lines, or they form straight lines or right angles. So what I thought was, why wouldn't it be good if I could design a building block that did something else? So if you want to move on to the next slide. Oh, sorry. Before I move on to that, so the first step of inventing Well, the real first step is to find something you love, and if you've got a problem to solve, gather all the information you can about it. So I had the first piece of the puzzle. I had all the information I could about Lego. Now, if you want to move on to the next slide. See, so inventing is really about doing something different. And that's all inventing is. So to get your brain working, what you can do is you can actually, from your list that you write down of all the information you know, you can simply write down the opposites if you want. And that gets your brain thinking in different ways. So if you want to move on to the next slide, there's my list on the left-hand side. And down the bottom, again, it's got, they join together and they form rigid shapes. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool, maybe flexible and bendable block? And yes, a flexible, bendable block that when you step on it, it doesn't hurt your feet, because a lot of people said that. So if you want to move on to the next slide. 3 months later, this is after I'd made my list.
This
3
got
months
my
later,
inventive brain to start thinking up ideas. And one day, I thought, why not make a block that moved?
That's exactly right. You see, I find that ideas or solutions to problems or often come to me at funny times. And it's like, as you said then, I was driving along in my car and all of a sudden I thought, why not build a building block that moves? Why not have a block that moves? Because Lego, when you join them together, they don't move. They're quite solid. So they don't move. So why not build a building block that moves? But the problem I had was I had no idea how to do that. I didn't know how to do it at the time. So I thought I better check out all things that move and just have a look and see how they move and see if they're going to give me some ideas. What was the block going to look like? How is it going to move? How is it going to click together? And how are my blocks going to click together without falling apart? And yet, being a building block, you needed to be able to pull them apart. So like I said, I had no idea how I was going to do that. So I started checking things out that moved. And if you move on to the next slide, well, I had no idea yet, but I was confident that I was going to come up with an idea. I just didn't know what it was. So what are some of the things that you know that moved? Or what are some of the things that you know that moved? If you want to move on to the next slide, I can give you a little hint.
Guys, just a gentle reminder, please raise your hand, like this, that. This hand symbol that I'll put you up in the top so that we can see you. And then we'll call you so that you can talk.
Do you want to share with us some of the things that you know that you can link together and that they move? And there's one of them on the screen right now.
Okay, so what I know about Lego is that just maybe before you invented better blocks, maybe you had a different technique. Lego had some holes in here, had some cylinders in here, and then there are other cylinders in here. Now, if another block that has that hole over here connects to one of these tooth-like projections, they seem to stick. And yeah, that's how they stick. That's what I know about Lego as well.
So I was looking at all the things that moved, and if you want to move on to the next slide, you'll see one of the things I looked at as well, which was a bicycle chain. But again, it moves and it's got all parts of the same, but you couldn't pull it apart. So I needed a way of joining the links together, but still being able to pull the blocks apart. And when the links join together, they need to be able to move. And here, it took me a long time to work it out. I was putting my jeans on one day. And if you have a look at a pair of jeans, ones that are clipped together by a press stud at the top, what you'll notice with a press stud is that it clips together, like in the drawing, but it also rotates. So it allows the joint to bend and you can pull it apart. So how could I use this somehow to clip my blocks together? And if you have a look at there, what I needed was a Lego block. And like like the three brothers said before, like a Lego block, you can almost get it to do what my better blocks do, but it didn't quite do it because the blocks would fall apart. So how could I design a Lego block with a press stud on top? So go on to the next slide, please. That's what I did. I designed a block like that. And that was how they worked. And what I did was, when the blocks like that, is that when they click together, I had a block. There's my better block. It's got the two studs on the top. And the two studs, you probably can't say it, but they've got a little ring around there. So when they click together, they don't pull apart easily, and yet they move. So you can build whole things that move like that. And you can build cars that have different shapes, and the wheels go around, and you can make the wheels out of blocks, like these wheels out of blocks. So you can do things, so the whole thing is kind of movable. So that was how I designed better. It was how I invented better blocks, because like the slide says, it had rounded ends, and when it's stacked, it can bend and shape and curve and move. And yet we also, I'll just share with you, we also had another block that fits onto my better block, but it's got like a Lego top. So you can fit Lego blocks onto it as well. Oh, I'll go there. So you can actually, my better blocks, you could play with, they would fit onto your, fit onto your Lego blocks as well. So that's how I invented better blocks. I just simply heard a problem. Oh, do you want to go into the next slide, please?
And that's exactly what I did after trying different things, making a design, building a prototype. I traveled to America, but it was not an easy path, but I persisted. It was a big hit. Kids love better blocks. They made cars, robots, classrooms, buildings, castles, accessories, and all sorts of fun things. We even made it more fun with glow-in-the-dark better blocks and color-changing better blocks. I was so glad I didn't quit. Better blocks sold 2 million kits and $45 million in sales. The best thing about it is that it was so fun to play with. Parents played better blocks with their kids. Truly, the fun never stops when playing with better blocks.
So that's it. So Asher does a great, far better example of selling my better blocks than I do. And yet that's how we did it. It was inventing in a nutshell. All you do is, if you hear about a problem or come up with an idea, and then you make it, work out how you can make it. And then what I did is I found people who could sell it for me. So that's it. That's the story. That's the story of better blocks. So now it's time for all you people to start inventing, for all you kids to start inventing. And what we're looking at, yes?
I actually have like an idea first. If you plan to re-release it soon, you can probably make like irregular blocks, like things that are like triangles, it also can be like opposites. You can make like stairs. You can make like any type of shapes like those. And instead of it being hard plastic, it can just be soft. So when you step on it, it will not. It will be like made out of foam. And there can also be like a version where you make your own. It's like just packs and you make your own things like.
Actually, thank you for sharing that, Nate. That's actually, I'd never thought of those ideas. They're great ideas. And we're looking at releasing better blocks. It'll probably be later this year. But when we do release them, we'll certainly let everyone know about them. And please, anyone who does have any ideas for new better blocks, let me know. And it's interesting, I would like to say one thing is that a lot of people have commented on when you tread on Lego blocks, they do hurt your feet. Better blocks are they're made out of a softer plastic, and because of the rounded curves, they don't hurt your feet so much. So that's one thing that we did do. All right, it's time for you to start inventing. Parent, do you want to organize the rest?
Yep, that's right. We're gonna have our main game. Yeah, I could see so many people getting super hyped for the better blocks. Alex is even decided to quit Lego and decide to become a better blocks main. So anyway, moving on, we will have our main game in breakout rooms. Yes, I know you guys are asking what is a peace machine? Okay. Now, you guys will be put into separate breakout rooms for four teams. And then you guys will have a couple of minutes to design from your imagination. Of course, it doesn't have to be as complicated as designing the gears and wiring itself, but even the concepts also fine.
So this is something that tells you to cook it when and why, because in why you have little food. So when you cook, it will help you know when to start cooking, so you won't overcook and lose more food.
Yeah, that's a great food saving idea, Asher.
And I didn't have enough time to put actually two more animated guys like the fire thing I put in there and the water thing in there.
And one idea I came up with is the peace robot that breaks up fights. That whenever it senses, aggression, it can go there and, cool things down.
Okay. First of all, this is a dome, a giant dome. That's gonna be deployable from space because of course when it's space it's practically weightless. So let it's huge. It's the thing's huge. It's a dome that unrolls from this box, which also contains an AI. Okay, so the dome has the ability to cover an entire country. Okay, so that was Elson's idea. We had a dome, unbreakable glass that could deflect, that can deflect asteroids or possibly missiles from other countries. Okay, because of course the first step to having peace is being alive, to be able to have the peace, and then we have projectors to stop war because they would be flashing videos and pictures, posters and people telling them to stop war. Of course, this only activated when the AI detects that there is civil unrest in the country. On top of that, we have the weather machine that controls the weather so that whenever the AI detects that many people, numerous amount of people are having a picnic, it will not rain today. And finally, we have this thing called Peace Mist, trademark, patent pending. That will cause people to take deep breaths and consider their actions before they say war, war, war. Instead, they'll be saying peace, peace, peace.
After that, there's a projector that sees someone fight and it would put them in the same one when you would have sort out with each other. So by putting it together, phone and remote, you make a projector that shows how we can make peace. That's a really good idea. And yeah, this is my idea. Is a super safe a super safe robot. 1.1. This robot will put you up 5 to 6 feet up in the air, and it'll tell you some advice or make you talk about why are you fighting and fix it. I mean,
Based on the drawing, it seems that the robot is giving out medicine. Yeah,
we're making some.
and
Let's move on. Oh, look at this. The wood has laser eyes that scans danger that we kids may be in. Good idea. I'm sometimes in big danger. This car transforms into a robot that brings peace by picking up people who want to fight.
Sure. So this part is a robot or power suit that you basically can put on. It neglects and prevents damage. So if someone tries to damage you in the robot neglects it and deflects it back into the person who made the damage. And then that thing can be used to stop fighting. And maybe, almost maybe, everyone can have it since we can sell it for like $50 to $100. The food storage area is made in the middle part of the body. When you open it, there's like a holographic portal that connects to a factory that makes food, and you can just grab food out of it, and then it's basically infinite food. Next slide. And then first of all, it's a robot. It detects fighting, then makes a 45 tall and deep steel wall. So no, they're gonna be separated. No, they can't fight anymore. And 3 feet thick.
So when somebody's fighting, a wall will suddenly appear in between the both of you.
So my robot has unlimited food and for can massage you when you have stress so that you will have peace in your mind, and it can bring peace in only 1 minute, and it can heal people.